Are you using the Raritan Dominion SX II? Here are some important end-of-life announcements and a look at the replacement offered by Raritan's sister company, ZPE Systems. My name is Jordan Baker. I'm a technical writer at ZPE. I'm going to show you why ZPE Systems Nodegrid is the recommended replacement and what to do if you're using Raritan's Command Center software. I'll also give you a tech demo so you can see the interface and what makes this migration easy. But first, a quick introduction. ZPE Systems is a Silicon Valley company specializing in network management infrastructure, like serial consoles and software. We've been around since 2013, and some of our first customers were Google, Facebook, and Amazon. In 2024, ZPE was acquired by Legrand, which is Raritan's parent company. The decision was made to replace the SX2 to give customers more value and flexibility. Here's the end-of-life info and why we recommend switching to Nodegrid. The Dominion SX2 is end-of-life and will no longer be sold after 2025. Support will end on December 31st, 2027. This is a standard timeline in the industry. ZPE's Nodegrid is recommended because it drops right into existing environments, and it's more of an upgrade when you look at its benefits. The Nodegrid serial console protects against physical tampering and cyber attacks because it has the industry's highest hardware and software security. Customers say that Nodegrid pays for itself with how much time and money it saves. Its zero-touch provisioning and remote access extend all the way down to device power control, so teams can fully provision, troubleshoot, and rebuild systems without having to go on site. The built-in 5G modem automatically kicks in to cover during outages and can also be used as a lifeline for out-of-band access. Nodegrid is also cloud-enabled for industries with a lot of regulation. We maintain FIPS 140-3, SOC 2 Type 2, and ISO 27001 certifications. The takeaway is that Nodegrid hardware drops in and gives you a big upgrade in terms of security and remote capability. But what if you're also using Raritan's Command Center software? It's easy to switch to our software called Nodegrid Manager. Nodegrid Manager supports the SX2 and devices from 60 other vendors right out of the box. It has built-in scripts and open APIs, so setup is quick. Nodegrid Manager saves time on admin work too. It lets you point and click into any device's command line interface or native web UI, just like you're locally connected. And it's centralized under one experience. You don't have to deploy dedicated management interfaces for all the different vendors you use. Overall, it's less work, and you can migrate without disruptions. Here's where the flexibility and easy migration stuff really kick in. Normally when you migrate to a new vendor, you deploy some combination of hardware and management software. After you rip and replace, you spend a lot of time retraining on the new system, rebuilding integrations or finding workarounds, and getting used to a new support structure. Nodegrid changes all that. You can run Nodegrid Manager on one of our physical devices or host it virtually on a server. This takes the hassle out of migrating. You don't have to rip and replace. You can run Nodegrid appliances right beside your SX2s and roll them out gradually instead of all at once. There's also no need to retrain. Nodegrid Manager's clean interface helps you find your devices quickly, and from there it's just point and click into the console or native web UI like you're used to. You don't have to rebuild either. Use existing tools, open APIs, and plugins to integrate with your DCIM, ticketing, and monitoring systems. And you won't deal with any commitment changes. Raritan and ZPE are under the same umbrella, so you'll get the level of support you expect. Again, we're here to make the migration easy, whether you're dropping in new hardware or moving away from Command Center altogether. Now I'll take the wrapping paper off Nodegrid so you can see it for yourself. I'll show you the look and feel of Nodegrid Manager, then I'll show you what it's like to manage your Raritan devices, and at the end, I'll show you around a fully populated system. Let's get started. In this part of the demo, I'll show you around Nodegrid Manager's interface and what it looks like to build an onboarding environment. I'll use my browser to log into Nodegrid Manager. Here you can see that I have a Nodegrid serial console already added, which is managing switches from Aruba and Cisco. On the right side, I can click the console button to access the CLI. Here's what that looks like. Now when I click on the Nodegrid serial console, I can see its device details, and at the top there are a few ways to access it. I'll access via the web. This opens a new tab where I see the familiar UI of Nodegrid. When I log into the Nodegrid serial console, I see the Aruba and Cisco switches that I have connected to it. You can also customize the view. If I click here, it shows the devices in a table instead of a tree view. Then I can add more info by selecting which columns to show. Overall, it's a consistent experience that you can customize how you like, and you'll be an expert in 5 minutes. Now let's see what it looks like to manage Raritan devices. I'll show you how to access the SX2, KX3, and PX3 PDU. In Nodegrid Manager, I've onboarded the SX2, and it's managing a Cisco and a Juniper. I can access these devices the same way I did with the Nodegrid serial console before. When I click on the SX2, I can see its details and how to access it. I'll go in via web. It opens in a new tab and everything is just like you're used to. Log in and you get the Raritan UI. It's the same as having a physical or local connection. You can manage the SX2 and all its connected devices right from here. Now, how about PDU control? I've got a PX3 connected. I can expand it right in Nodegrid Manager to see all the outlets. If I click Outlet Status, it takes just a few seconds to show whether each outlet is on or off, and I can control them right from here. But if I need more info, I can go into the PX3 by clicking the Web button. Again, it's just like I'm locally connected to the PDU. I've got full control of the device. I can gather the info I need, update user settings, perform maintenance, you name it. Now, what about KVM switches, like the KX3 and 4? If I click on one, I can see the details, including which port it's using. If I click the KVM button, I get KVM access. And look at that, someone was looking at our SX2 page. Now, let's see what it's like to manage a fully populated system. Here, I've got some devices that are managed via their IP management interfaces, like a web UI instead of a physical serial connection. This is where Nodegrid Manager gives you another layer of security. It's common to leave these IP ports exposed to the internet. That's a huge problem because any hacker can find them and get access to your network. But connecting them to Nodegrid Manager removes these interfaces from the internet. This isolation keeps them away from attackers. Notice how when I click into this Cisco switch, the URL in the address bar doesn't change. I'm gaining access through Nodegrid Manager, not the open internet. Here's what it looks like when the system is fully populated. I have my Raritans connected, my Nodegrid serial console, and my different IP-based devices. They're all accessible in one place. I can find a specific device just by searching for it in the search bar. I can filter based on attributes like the device type, vendor, or port. I can also see which devices are managed by specific groups, like the network team, server team, and DevOps team. Again, you can customize views and group devices however you prefer. Nodegrid adapts to you. That's the end of my tech demo. To recap, you got to see how easy it is to learn Nodegrid's interface and customize it to your needs. I covered how it gives you a more streamlined experience, but with all the controls you're used to. You can just point and click into any device like you're sitting right in front of it. And at the end, I showed you how it keeps your IP-based management ports away from attackers by isolating them from the internet. Nodegrid gives you full remote control of your systems from your browser and makes it easy to keep everything running. Now is the perfect time to migrate your SX2s, and Nodegrid makes it simple. For more information or to contact sales, scan the QR code on the screen or visit our SX2 migration page.